Previously in X-Men, the climactic work of the legendary creative team of Claremont, Byrne, and Austin has passed with the conclusion of the Dark Phoenix saga, nearly 4 years in the making. What we see now is that each of the second Genesis characters has fulfilled their creative promise by becoming the hero we believed them to be. Most notably, Storm is savvy and confident, serving as the new team leader, and Wolverine is no longer the hair-triggered contrarian, but a trusted and emotionally invested teammate and mentor. To finish their groundbreaking run on the top-selling series with perhaps their best work, Claremont and Byrne tell the cautionary tale of a dystopic timeline in Uncanny X-Men 141 Days of Future Past. I am Jason Lapidus of Group of 7 Comics, and I am joined today by Days of Future Past, David Cutler and Jason Lowe. Gentlemen, how are you?
Well, how are you?
Well,
I'm great, thank you. This is the one we're reading today. This is, again, as when I'm lucky enough, this is my childhood copy. And I say childhood, I did not get this in 1980. I picked it up probably around 87 or 88 when it was still attainable for a kid to buy a back issue at a place like the Silver Snail in Toronto. I don't remember how much I paid for it, but it probably wasn't more than $10. And it's in pretty good condition. It's a pretty good one. I still consider it a reader copy because I never intend on selling it, but I'm really happy to have this one. And Jason, how are you? How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. Yeah, things are pretty busy. Okay, so like I'm gonna be reading it off the Marvel Unlimited app. My Wi-Fi connection is
spotty.
It's been spotty right now, which is weird because I thought I downloaded this issue, and it's slowly downloading a page each minute. I have it on my phone as well, so if my iPad doesn't work, I'm just gonna go through my phone.
Fair enough.
Looking at this cover, the name that's between Wolverine's legs. Who do you think that could be? That looks like a D-R-O. Could be an X.
My first thought is it's Madrox. That's my first thought.
Wait, which one are you talking about? Oh.
The name below his legs.
It's got to be Madrox. Yeah, you're right.
Right? Wow, yeah, he made the cut.
I never really noticed that recently, at least. That's really funny.
Pure desperation to try and find it.
For sure. Yeah. I should have put that up on the screen so we could all see that one. Hold on, let me put that one up.
Yeah, let the audience decide.
Well, I don't know if anyone's going to get close enough to their monitor, nor do I think that it's almost completely in black on in this copy, at least in terms of the scan and the size you can get. It's more purple. That blue is more purple on this scan than it is in real life. It's of the colors, it's not one of the purples. It's actually the darkest blue, but there's a screen tone applied that makes it even grainier, which takes it into a darker tone. But I was messing around with the colors today on a graphic, and I thought it would be purple, but it isn't. It's actually the bluest, darkest of the blues. This is like a great example to me of one of those covers that uses shape, like uses the circle as a really good way to catch the eye and the two contrasting colors, because it does look very purple, like that yellow purple combo. It's just such a perfect cover, and I can imagine being a kid seeing this for the first time and thinking to myself, like, oh my god, what's with Wolverine? Who's that woman he's with? How come they're all dead? The title is cracked. It's just, how could you not pick this one up off the newsstand?
Why is Wolverine old?
Yeah, it's great. And he's carrying a sidearm. It's so interesting.
Yeah, so he is.
So cool. Do either of you guys have this Marvel Legends of Wolverine?
No, I do not.
So it came with, I think a Sentinel, did it not?
Yes, it's on like my list of like, if money just starts falling from the sky,
Yeah.
I very much want it, because the HasLab Sentinel is way too big for me, as cool as it is. But yeah, passing on that 20-inch or whatever, 10, 15 Sentinel was foolish. I wish I had him.
Right. And was it the same size Sentinel that came with the Marvel Universe 3 3/4 inch
Yeah,
figure?
just repainted. I believe it was the same one.
Right. Now that would be a cool one to get. I have the Galactus of that style, that size. But I, like you, the HasLabs are out of the sphere of possibility for me. Not a real.
Oh yeah, the money alone. But even if I had like infinite dollars, I just don't want to be the guy who has like a 2.5 foot tall Sentinel. It seems strange.
Well,
but
you're my buddy. It's your X-Men, my buddy, who
Right.
hates mutants.
Well, the other thing is, I always think of like, this is like this. It's a machine of genocide, is what it is, and I've got like a
Yes.
monument to it, a 2.5 foot monument
Yeah.
to like
Yes.
this mutant killer in my room.
Well, that's definitely an interesting and meaningful way to look at it, as opposed to just being the villain. Yeah, it is a genocidal villain. I have similar feelings around Star Wars and people cheering for the Empire, like people who want to dress up as stormtroopers. I'm like, they are. I don't even want to say, like, the analogy of what they are is like, it's not appealing to me at all. But I do love the figures, but I don't think I would want the 2.5 foot version of them instead of.
The aesthetics are there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And once you get something like that, it's like you no longer have an X-Men collection. You have a Sentinel and some accessories for the Sentinel. It becomes the whole thing.
Yeah,
I'm not about it, but
I hear you. I think you make an interesting point. Do you mind just telling anyone who watches this on the replay your X-Men credentials? Is that okay, David? If you mind sharing, like, what kind of work you've done on the X-Men, under the X-Men umbrella?
not much really. I've done like 3 X-Men things. Yeah, 3. I did a short story for the first Marvel Voices, Indigenous Voices. That was a Silver Fox story. I did Thunderbird, Giant Size X-Men Thunderbird #1.
Yeah.
Where I got to redesign Thunderbird, and that's like the biggest thing for like my career so far. Like that's like the coolest thing I'm proudest of. And I did X-Men and Moon Girl team up #1. That's it. That's me and the X-Men, everything.
So far. Unless you want to burn that bridge right now.
God, I love everybody who currently works on X-Men, so I'm not in any danger of that right now.
That's good. I'm just
there have been eras where I could have like really burned some bridges. I got to go back through my old tweets and make sure I didn't step on any toes. But.
Listen, I know you're saying you're being humble and saying just 3 things, but that is 3 more things than most people who are fans can ever even imagine doing, right? That it isn't nothing. It's really special. At least to me, it is.
It's something.
It is something, and
it's 3 more than nothing.
It is 3 more than nothing, which is a lot. And there's that old joke about who was it, Matisse, who drew something or painted something real quick, and someone asked them, "How long did it take you to do that?" And he said, "My whole life." Because the act of, let's say, painting something in under 60 seconds took him 70 years to learn how to do. So, 3, however many issues of published work you have with Marvel, it took you your lifetime to build up to be able to do that.
Like, there's more
right
Marvel stuff, but
true.
That's all the X-Men. Yeah.
Pardon me. And then Jason, what about you? What have you done within the X-Men umbrella?
I've done about written and drawn about 7 issues of X-Men Unlimited. I've written 8 issues of X-Men Unlimited, drawn 7 of them, and I've done a story with Jubilee for Marvel Voices Identity, where we got to know more about her nationality, about her parents, about just the stuff, her background of that's rarely explored in the comics. So That was great.
That is super cool. You guys, like, it's wonderful. It's silly to say I'm proud of you, but of course I am. When I see anyone do any kind of work, especially the guys I've had the pleasure of meeting, it is I do feel pride, whether it's misplaced or not. Who knows? I should tell you the work that I've done with X-Men. I've not only amassed a vast collection of X-Men figures. In 1988, I drew on a 18 by 24 sheet of Bristol the X-Men in very tough poses, and I colored them in with amateur markers, and I still have it, and it's bad ass or just bad. Yeah, that's what I've done with X-Men. So yeah, I'm looking forward to adding to that and having more than just my 1988 group shot, where I wished they were classic X-Men, but it was Outback era, but I wished it was classic. I was at the time I was reading both. I was reading the contemporary books in the mid to late 80s and reading classic X-Men, which is kind of interesting to bring us to where we are now in this never-ending, ongoing series of X-Men read-throughs. We're at episode 50, so it's been 50 weeks, over 51 weeks, but we missed one. But it's been 50 weeks of these live streams, and I brought that up for a reason. I don't remember what my reason was.
Well, it's the 50th episode, and
It
we're
is.
doing the first part of an epic event in X-Men history, which is the Days of Future Past. They made a movie based on it. The TV shows have touched on. So this is momentous.
It is.
I looked at the calendar and I was like, hey, like this Tuesday is going to be that episode where they're going to be covering this. Like, what if like me and David go on the show and talk about this?
For sure. Big. I was glad that you reached out about it. I remember what I was going to say. I was going to say that this is not actually covered in X-Men Classic or Classic X-Men. The series goes from issue 140, which is the second part of the Wendigo Alpha Flight crossover, and then skips ahead to issue 143, which is the one with Sprite on the cover, Kitty Pryde on the cover, with some sort of monster in kind of looming in on her. It's Byrne's last issue. They skip over the 2 issues of Days of Future Past in the series now called X-Men Classics, or X-Men Classic, singular.
Do you know what that is?
I have a suspicion. So it's 1990 when that is published, but in 1989, Marvel put out a square-bound or flat-bound trade, like a little trade. They put one out in 89, and so they had just republished it, and maybe they didn't want to publish it again within 12 months. That's the best I can do. I've done a little bit of research to see if there was any reason, but there's nothing available that I could come across so far. But it makes sense if you just publish it as a new thing to read for people, a year earlier. I'm not surprised that Marvel didn't want to publish it a second time. So that's all I got there for you. But and it had a new cover, and it's on like Baxter paper or something comparable. And so the colors are oversaturated, and that is a version that a lot of people who are my contemporaries, they have that copy, which is now not much of a collector's item. It's not very expensive, but it's still not something I'd see regularly. Kind of neat, though. But anyway, so yeah, not covered in X-Men Classic. And like you were saying, David, in the chat a couple weeks ago, this is the first issue that is now officially... No, it is not.
It's the next one, I think.
It's the next one. The series is still officially called X-Men Volume 1. Of course, it does have the word uncanny across the top.
Yeah.
But for issue 142, that will be the first one where it actually says in the indicia that it's uncanny. They retitle it then, which is a strange thing. I guess they were finally committed and going to move forward with it. Do either of you guys remember when you first read this?
Like, it's probably... Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
It was like 15 years ago when I was in university, I guess. So,
was it something that... I guess you'd already seen the cartoon, though.
Yeah, maybe not all the episodes, to be honest.
But
because I wasn't big into the cartoon when it was first on.
What?
Yeah, I got into it later.
Crazy.
I mean, I watched it when it was on, but the episodes aired all sporadically, so it wasn't like easy to track down or whatever.
Right.
But this was the first thing of Claremont's run that I ever read.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
It's kind of neat. I remember there was I hate to say the word, but there was a bit of a mystique around it. Like there was amongst kids who had read comics.
Wink, wink.
Well, you know, if you had not read Days of Future Past, oh, you got to read Days of Future Past. Like, oh, that's good.
Because it's your destiny.
Right.
Wink, wink.
Right. Thank you. So, Jason, what about you? When did you first read it?
I have never read 141. I read 142. I picked up 142 to Harry Tarantula back when it was in downtown on Yonge Street, and I was like 11 years old, and I was collecting my allowance money. I got $20, and I went in there, and it had that very smoky vibe going into the Harry Tarantula, and the people that worked there, like just looked very grungy, like long hair, and it, dimly lit too. But luckily, the back issues were like against the daylight, and I was just combing through it, and I mean, it just felt sacred for some reason. Like this is like that was like the comic shop experience of that time. And that was my first early X-Men issue I've ever picked up. I don't know why I picked it up. I just saw Wolverine on cover and looked like he was going to die in that. I wanted to know what was up.
Yeah,
that was it.
Yep, it's got that classic rule getting broken there of not using green on a cover, which was an old like I think a DC mandate was no green on the cover. It doesn't sell well, but it works great. Works with the red. But yeah, that's 142. It is a crazy cover, but both of these covers are just top notch.
Oh yeah.
Really iconic. And then Jason, did you see it on the animated series in the 90s?
Of course. Two-parter? Yeah.
So
many times.
Was Bishop important to you as a kid? And like when you got to read this, you're like, wait a minute, where's Bishop?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I kind of knew Bishop showed up later on. Because Bishop showed up around the same year when I was still collecting X-Men comics. I mean, right. Like early on when I was like 11 or 12. So yeah, like I knew there was going to be like some like creative liberties that they made in the cartoons compared to the comics, and but yeah, the comic that I got, like I felt like that was very dark for me. Especially for an 11-year-old kid who thought the word uncanny was supposed to be pronounced unsanny.
Oh, really? Oh, yes. I did that too, yeah.
I even corrected my friends by saying, it's uncanny X-Men.
Wow. And what did you think uncanny meant?
I don't know.
I was probably like 17 before I bothered to look it up. It wasn't a word that got used a lot in the 90s.
No, it was not for me either. But for whatever reason, anyway, that's hilarious. As you guys mentioned already, this is one of those story arcs that has been reinterpreted in mass media, right? We've got the two-parter episodes 11 and 12 of season 1 of the animated series. So kids in the 90s would know this, with Bishop as the central character. And then, of course, it was released as interpreted and released as a major motion picture in 2012, 13?
Something like that, yeah.
Something in there within the X-Men franchise. It's the second film of the second iteration of X-Men movies, and of the same title, Days of Future Past, where Wolverine, of course, is the central character. Surprise, surprise, with Hugh Jackman. And as people who haven't read this are going to find out, Kate Pryde, or Catherine Pryde, or Kitty Pryde, is sort of the central character in this one. And I find it really interesting how I don't think there's ever been another story that gets interpreted multiple times within the same umbrella franchise where they switch who the protagonist is twice. I can't imagine, you do Civil War and it's two different characters, but it's supposed to be the same Civil War. I know they have done multiple Civil Wars, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where you actually change who the main character in the series is going to be. I find that really interesting.
They also always change the person who sends them back in time.
Right.
Because it's Forge in the cartoon.
And it's done technologically.
Yeah. we'll see who it is here. And in the movie, it's Kitty Pryde.
It is the strangest thing to have her, and I think, I mean, the rationale seems to be they just were trying to hold on to the rising star of, at the time, Ellen Page, now Elliot Page, and just try and get on to, like, have their face and name recognition be enough to add some cachet to those few scenes with them in it. Yeah, and the same thing with what's her name who plays Mystique?
Jennifer Lawrence.
Thank you, Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah. Placing Mystique in so many central roles over those movies were just to cash in on her fame. And then same with Hugh Jackman. There was really something beautiful about having Kitty Pryde as the main character, given that she just joined the team. She's the newest member, so the reader doesn't have much to go on, and it really makes it feel like it's a huge jump forward when we meet her all grown up. It's awesome. Hello, great James. How are you? Hey, X-heads. That is the official term of people who love X-Men. X-heads. I wonder if there is another one out there that you can come up with, and I have no doubt that you will. Graydon is a musician friend of mine who I spend the best times with, jamming in a band. So I was with him at his place last night. He's a great drummer, and one of the funniest guys you'll ever meet. Nice. But I don't know what he's doing here. You can't play drums on our show, Graydon. That's basically the bottom line. I got to put a stop to that right there. So should we dive into this issue?
Let's.
Yes.
To me, my ex-friends. I got to do that.
I wonder, Graydon, have you ever read this before? I'm curious. I don't know if you ever read Days of Future Past. So I've got my original copy here, and I've got the it's like the last couple issues of Volume 2 of my Essentials. And it's really neat to see it in black and white, as I say every week, and really cool to see it in color. And I love the variety. When was the last time you guys watched the movie, by the way?
Days of Future Past? Oh, yeah. Maybe early pandemic. Pandemic, yeah.
And David?
The Christmas that I got it on Blu-ray, so whatever year it came out, that Christmas was the last time.
I should have asked, are you guys fans of it? Do you like it?
I loved it in the theater, and then afterwards I wasn't quite so sweet on it, but I don't think it's bad or anything.
Right. No, I got the Rogue's cut, which has some extra scenes where Rogue, she plays a role in the time travel part with Kitty Pryde.
Oh, I'm assuming she takes her power to sustain the temporal phase or something.
It's been
right.
I mean, it's forgettable because it's been a while that I forgot.
Right, fair enough.
There are like maybe 5 added scenes.
Okay, fair enough. Graydon says he was a Spidey nut in his comics days, so he has not read this. Well, you're in for a treat, my friend. You're in for a treat. Here we go. This is Days of Future Past, issue 141. You guys are ready. I'm ready. And we start off with an amazing feature.
Everyone's role model.
So
many OJ ads in these books.
Right. And I love, sometimes you get an ad also for like the Fat Albert gang and the Cosby Kids, like that cartoon. I really want to find an issue where we have both. That's sort of I want as many celebrities that have committed heinous crimes in one.
Whatever happened to OJ in the last 3 decades? I wonder what he's been up to.
What's that guy up to?
Well, Naked Gun, and
I
then
loved him in Naked Gun.
Then I stopped.
Hilarious.
Yeah, same. He's great.
Yes, totally.
And that one appearance in Married with Children, I think.
I didn't see that.
He's such a cut up.
So, of note, the credits go: Chris Claremont is the writer, John Byrne is the artist, and they are co-plotters. And there are, not too many varying accounts as to who did what for this, but it was Byrne's idea to have Kitty Pryde as the protagonist of the series. And I think, this is just before the end of his run on the series as an artist. And he is doing a lot of writer flexing to try, get as many ideas as he can in there, which I think is part of the source of the tension. But it's neat to see that one of these stories, like where characters sit and their voices in this series feel a lot more like Byrne and Claremont in some ways. But we'll talk about that as we go. We get that really awesome Eisnerian incorporation of the title of the book in the landscape.
Beautiful.
Right, the Days to Future Past. Like Will Eisner did this amazing stuff in the spirit, and it's just perfect. I love the color palette, everything, just so good. This is New York, the big.
I guess this is a restaurant in Times Square in the future called Days
Really?
Future Past. That was the diner back in. No, maybe in this alternate history. Who knows?
Right.
Oh, neat thing. Wheezy edited this issue. Cool.
That's right. Louise Simonson, Louise Jones at this time comes on in the issue where Cyclops leaves the team. Yeah. Or no, actually, pardon me. I think it's even the one when they kill Jean. The issue before, and 137 is her first issue on. So she comes on it like just at the end of Byrne's run.
Up.
Yeah, it's a crazy time to get on the series, really maybe at its peak, depending on your point of view. So once upon a time, it was a nice place to live. It is no longer. Would one of you like to read this character?
Sure.
Okay.
Logan, I wish you'd pick a safer part of Manhattan for our rendezvous. I wish there was a safe part of Manhattan for you to pick.
The street is Park Avenue in the upper 70s. When Kate Pryde was a child, it was one of the swankiest neighborhoods in the city, if not the world. Now it's a slum, abandoned, derelict, dying. Much like the city, the country, the planet around it. Welcome to the 21st century. Oh my God.
He called that one.
Just awesome. I love the bed there with the springs. Can you guys even see that in your copy? There's a mattress there with the springs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right there. Yeah, the mannequin with the bash.
See a little tricycle.
Yeah. Really great stuff to evoke, right? Like everyone, having like you can't put a dead body, but the mannequin that's broken does the same job.
I also like the one-way sign is pointing down.
Oh, yeah.
Things are only going to get worse.
Right. That's really, it's just great. Really,
by the way, what year was this published, by the way?
1980.
Yeah, I believe 1980.
Well, yes. When did Escape from New York come out?
That's a great question.
82?
I'm looking it up now.
Oh, okay.
Because there is something, obviously, there's something in here. Escape from Alcatraz, Escape from New York.
Like, there's just a lot of post-apocalyptic images of New York.
81.
Yeah, I think like the Warriors is probably what they're drawing on.
Yes.
Yeah, the Warriors, and then but I mean, it's definitely a thing to see post-apocalyptic New York in so much media, from this issue to tons of movies like Escape from New York and.
So the Warriors is 1989. I mean, sorry, 1979.
Yeah, okay, yeah, it's got to be, yeah.
So that
blew my mind for a second.
That makes a lot more sense.
Oh yeah. All right.
Okay. This is rogue territory. The last place on Earth the Sentinels would expect a mutant, especially an X-Men, to be, which is why Wolverine chose it. I wish he'd make his entrance, though. Everything looks peaceful enough, but it feels, hey, a trap door. No, this can't be happening now. Not when we're so close. Not with so much depending on us. Rogues.
How perceptive of you, Beauty. And how kind of you, shall we say? Drop in.
You'd be advised to let me go. I'm on official Sentinel business.
Big deal. We hate those tin tyrants almost as much as we hate muties. Beg all you want, sweetheart. Scream all you want. Even if people here, no one will come to help you. You're going to be a long time dying, Muty.
Jeez.
This must be very Warriors inspired. Do you think?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Not if I have anything to say about it, Rogue. Not the other Rogue. Let's hear it for Kate's last stand. This inhibitor collar I'm forced to wear neutralizes my power to phase through solid objects. I'm just a normal woman. Against these odds,
Robbo, George, grab her. I'm going to fly this Muty witch alive.
No, you're not, bub. You're going to release the lady, just like she asked.
Who's going to make me short stuff? You? Nobody gives Big Alex orders like this girl.
He's got a name.
You want the woman, old man? Then you come save her.
If you insist, but don't say I didn't warn you. In the old days, I'd have simply cut the punk in two with my retractable claws, but doing that would tell the Sentinels that Wolverine's back in town.
A little known song by. Sorry. Yeah, exactly.
Wolverine's back in town.
Exactly. I love that. I love that so much has already been told to us without having anything like really laid out with detailed exposition. It's just sort of like in passing in the Claremont fashion, right? Like every scene is an opportunity for Claremontian exposition, where as the action's moving forward, we're learning. Okay, this is clearly Kitty Pryde. She doesn't have her powers right now. This is a terrible place to be living. Like the world is in awful shape. Wolverine is old. The Sentinels are in charge. Kitty works for the Sentinels. Mm-hmm. Wolverine's afraid to use his powers. Like, it's just insane.
And what's with Big Alex wearing an X on his face?
That's a great question. It looks like I think it's just a war paint,
Yeah, it might just be like a down pointing arrow and an up pointing arrow, and then it gets lost in the shadow on his face.
In the original issue, they're not colored in every panel, but in that first one, when you see him, Big Alex, it looks like
it does look like the new X symbol.
The new one.
It does look like the new X symbol.
It absolutely does.
Era.
Well, that's because the new X symbol was inspired by Big Alex and his contribution to the X-Men.
There we go.
He's actually in continuity now. He's in 616 continuity.
It makes sense.
Big Alex.
That's the future.
Yeah.
Maybe he's a product of Krakoa era. I mean, this is the future after Krakoa era. Who knows?
Good point.
Wolverine's back in town, and that would jeopardize the mission. You okay, Kate?
I'm fine, Logan. But calls this close, I can live without.
I know what you mean. Come on, let's roll.
So tell me, Colonel Logan, how's life in the Canadian Resistance Army?
Like, that's the best thing I've ever heard in my life right there. Just that line. I love Colonel Logan. I'm so happy he's Colonel Logan. And it's just everything good about I love it. The Canadian Resistance Army, I want to join right now, unless it's some terrible racist thing.
I thought that was a sarcastic tone.
No.
It's like Wolverine and two beavers or something.
A thrill a minute, darling. The word from London is that everything's on automatic. The moment the Sentinels move out of North America, the other great powers will launch a full-scale nuclear strike.
Then it's up to the X-Men. As always, when there's a world to save, here's the last component of the jammer.
I think that's his line because she has bare hands.
Yes.
But I don't mind. It's all good. There's also the sign on the ground. It says, "Attention, you are leaving a controlled zone." Like, this really is a terrible, terrible, like, not even police state. It's like a robot controlled state, and it's just the shits. but awesome color palette, like really minimal use of the high saturated stuff. You know, just as the backgrounds, like you get that blue, you get the red one, a little bit of yellow, but lots of those cool purples and cool greens. Really nice, really nice.
Yeah, really looks
Yeah, it's
like I'm watching
fantastic.
the VHS of the Warriors right now.
Oh yeah.
Like the other modules, it's invisible to Sentinel sensors. You shouldn't have any problem smuggling it into camp.
Like right there, like
That's
into
for you
camp.
to say.
They're in a camp. Like that's massive and terrifying. Sorry, go on.
Oh no, that's easy for you to say.
You got a point. Phase 2 begins at midnight. When I bust you guys out, be ready, Kate. Good luck.
We'll be waiting, Logan. And thanks. Wow, look at this books page. Oh,
Yeah. At First Avenue, Kate catches the Uptown Express tram to the Bronx. En route, she doesn't bother to hide the sorrow in her eyes as she contrasts what is with as she contrasts what is with what once was and wonders how so much could change so quickly. You get, like, if you can't see on your computer screen here, like this is a bus being pulled by horses. And on the side of it, on the side of the bus,
feels very John Carpenter.
yeah, it says
Like I just hear his soundtrack being played, like doom, 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 doom. It has that Escape from New York vibe.
yeah. In North America, in the year 2013, there
Wow.
are 3 classes of people. H for baseline human, clean of mutant genes, allowed to breed. A for, how do you pronounce this?
Anomalous.
Anomalous?
Anomalous.
Yeah, you're right. You're
Yeah.
right. I know that word. I don't know what my problem is. I'm having a moment. Anomalous human, a normal person possessing mutant genetic material, forbidden to breed. M for mutant, the bottom of the heap, made pariahs and outcasts by the Mutant Control Act of 1988, hunted down, and, with a few rare exceptions, killed without mercy. In the quarter century since the Act's passage, millions have died. They were the lucky ones.
Sorry, I'm just doing a John Carpenter.
And it says there in the back on the sign that it's the South Bronx Mutant Internment Center.
Damn.
David, do you have a Sentinel voice in you?
Yeah. Mutant 187, you are behind schedule. Explain.
I was attacked by rogues. Sentinel Alpha 3. I escaped. That caused the delay.
Encephaloscan indicates truthful reply. You may pass.
After an exhaustive and
Perfect.
intentionally humiliating security examination,
Wow.
to ensure that she carrying no contraband. Am I reading that correctly? There's a letter missing.
Yeah, she carrying
Yeah,
no
it should be
contraband.
she's carrying no
Thank you.
contraband.
It makes me feel so weird when the letters are wrong. To ensure that she's carrying no contraband, Kate is allowed to re-enter the camp that has been her home since the turn of the century. Oh my God. 13 years living in an internment camp. This is, for a kid to read this and just try and, put themselves in their shoes, it's unbelievable. Really heavy stuff. As always, the first thing she
This
sees
is very bleak.
is as always. What? There's a fresh grave. Does yours read like that too?
No, mine says, as always, the first thing she sees is the cemetery.
Mine does not have the word cemetery in it.
Yeah, mine does. Well, I'm going through Marvel Unlimited right now.
It is just like a whited out. There's nothing there, but I can see on the screen the word cemetery is there.
Huh.
All right, I'll back off. Go ahead.
Interred here are all the victims of the Sentinels. Some I knew, most I didn't. But in a way, we're all family. Forgive us, my friends. We cannot avenge you. For what point is vengeance against an unfeeling machine? but at least we can try to ensure that this nightmare never happens, never even begins.
And you
You
see
see the
Ben-
graves of Johnny Storm.
Yeah. And the full Fantastic
Yep.
Four is there.
Yep. Lorna Dane,
Yeah.
she's in the back.
Bobby Drake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hank
Hank McCoy.
I
Who's
don't
the
know who
one that
would be.
says, "Oh, guys, is that Peter Parker?"
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
it is.
that's probably Peter Parker. Yeah.
Fuck. That's great. That's really cool. This idea that the heroes have a last stand, you know, they have their moment where they give it a shot, and everyone, like the FF and Spider-Man, they're all fighting. I'm gonna say on the side of the Angels, and it just, at least inside of Angel, and they're all dead. That's great and terrible.
No Steve Rogers or Tony Stark. I wonder where they're at.
I'm gonna just make a joke that no one cared where Tony Stark was at this point in time.
They're
Like, as a
probably
character?
they're probably policing around the world.
Well, I think he just wasn't, you know, he wasn't like the FF and Spider-Man are historically the top books of the Marvel characters, other than Star Wars and Conan, or Conan, I should say, not Conan. It's not Conan O'Brien. So Iron Man was never a top seller. Captain America wasn't their top seller. So like just to have the FF, the X-Men, and Spidey together is like all their big guns at the moment. So that's makes sense to me that they would include. But yeah, I wonder if Steve Rogers, if we're going to extrapolate our own, like what is this world like? You know, if Xavier, Parker, and Reed Richards and Ben Grimm are all like on the same mission, you know, Steve Rogers is on the same side. Like he's not sitting on the other side of that, morally speaking. So I wonder what happened to him. Of all the X-Men who ever were, only 4 remain. Logan, Wolverine. Kate, Sprite. Aurora Monroe, Storm. And Peter Rasputin, Colossus. They, along with Franklin Richards, last survivor of the fabled Fantastic Four, and his lady, Rachel, a telepath, telekinetic, comprise the core cadre of the anti-Sentinel resistance.
I'm home. Wow. Her first appearance.
Yeah, and this is, I guess, a first appearance. You know what I mean? Like, is this to you guys the Rachel that we later see in the Ramita run? She does get, like, that is her, right? She gets transported from this timeline to that timeline.
I think she comes from an even worse timeline because
Right, where she's a hound.
She's a hound, yeah.
But it's basically this same woman in terms of the core of the character.
Yeah, I would say so. It's as much her as this is Kitty.
Right. So I wonder if we're supposed to think from this. You get a redheaded telepath, telekinetic, who's part of the X-Men. And are we supposed to, you know, not think of Jean Grey right away with this? I don't know. Interesting.
Very interesting, yeah. I'm home. Sorry I'm late. I ran into a rogue pack. They ran into Wolverine. I had the final module. Logan says he'll strike at midnight. Phase 1 must be completed by then. How normal we make it sound.
Please keep going.
Yet what we contemplate is so fantastic. I still cannot believe it's possible.
Do you want to read Magneto, David?
Sure. How about I read Magneto?
You can. Well, there's so many fun ways to do it. You can do it in a fan casting where you do it as Sean Connery. You could do it on the TV show. He was, you know, he didn't have a British accent, but he spoke a little more formally and had I don't know. He had a bit of an accent in there, but I don't know how you track it.
Well, I'll just read it.
Sure.
That's strange talk, Pyotr Alexandrovich. What? Why is that his last name?
I think it's his middle. I don't know.
Oh. Coming from one who's seen and done what you have.
I have ever been a simple man, old man, more farmer in my soul than superhero. Magneto, I cannot shake my doubts.
If there were any alternative, Peter, any alternative, we would take it. But if we do nothing, by tomorrow the world will be at war. And by the day after tomorrow, the world will be dead. Our actions may not make things better for humanity or mutant kind, but they certainly cannot make them worse. Rachel, child, so much depends on you.
I won't fail, Magneto. I've been meditating all day. Once the jammer's operational, we can start anytime.
Then what are we waiting for? A moment, my wife. Huh? Then, as I said, I have doubts. Can our mad, desperate plan work? More importantly, should it? We are toying with the basic fabric of reality, and if we succeed, what will happen to us, to our love? It might cease to exist, along with the Sentinels. That's a risk we have to take. What does love of two people matter against the lives of billions? I am selfish. It matters to me. Peter, if our love was meant to be, it will be. Only this time in a world where our children can grow up free and unafraid. The Sentinels killed my friends, and they killed my babies. If changing the past holds out even the slightest hope of saving them, I'll do it, whatever the cost. I love you, Kate, and you, Peter, from the moment we first met.
Later.
Franklin?
I'm making final adjustments, sir. As you know, these inhibitor collars we wear neutralize our superpowers. This jammer should neutralize the inhibitors. Is this still him? Do you think?
It's still Franklin.
Inside this room, we'll be as strong as we ever were for as long as the unit's power cells function. And there's your thing to note. It's only as long as the power cell functions. Okay, cool.
By then, we'll be free of the collars.
Lay back and relax, Kate.
This is crazy. I've got butterflies in my stomach.
Hush.
Sorry.
Breathe with me. Let your mind become one with mine.
Oh, Rachel says.
And our minds one with all. Before she knows it, Catherine Pride Rasputin, ooh, nice, is entranced, her soul flung out across the abyss of eternity. What happens next is anybody's guess. Now I got to show you guys. Yeah, it's an awesome image too. And we can talk about how that was made because you got to see what's in my copy. Nothing.
Wow. Okay. So that's all color hold.
Oh, wait.
That's all color hold.
Crazy.
That's really funny. So yeah, the way that's made is
wow.
The way that would be made would be that I guess John Byrne would draw that in pencil, and they would on maybe a different piece, and they would have to cut this out. Or do you how do you make the outline of a character in color like that?
I mean, the only way that I know is that they would cut it by hand, and they were just really abusing those old ladies at the print place. But
cut it. Yeah.
I'm gonna open it up because I want it in my issue to see if it looks like there's any brush stroke to it, because it is just such a fantastic.
There is thick and thin.
Yeah, it looks like
there
marker.
Absolutely is. So
yeah.
So I guess maybe it's just done with color plates, and they get this is the blue plate.
Right. So yeah, that's hand drawn.
Yeah, but they were separate pieces of paper.
So you can take a black and white photocopy or photostat and make it into a color instead, right? At that point in time, I believe that they could, like you said, you just use the blue plate to print what the black line had. What's a surprint? Do you guys know?
No.
I need to learn like these old, obviously 1980 print tech terminologies, but I think that's how you make that. Is you still draw it in black, but then the information is somehow changed into color through a process called a surprint or something along those lines. We got to ask Jim Rugg.
Yeah.
So really cool way of like showing that, there's been some huge time warp thing happening. We should comment, of course. I mean, how could you not? On Magneto coming in, A is their ally, and
Yeah,
B
and
in the
and
wheelchair.
Yep. And also, what a way to get your audience to root for a romance to like you just introduce the character and then you're like, oh yeah, and she's married to Colossus in the future, and they have to give this up for this mission. And they even had kids together.
You had the
Yeah.
babies, and they're all gone.
Yeah, it's crazy. It really does change the way that you view the character's trajectory from this point on. Now I'm reading after this. I'm going to be reading X-Men, looking to see Magneto make the redemption arc, and I'm going to be looking to see, like you said, Kate and Peter to be lovers like forever. It's their destiny. Haha. Very cool. Star Wars.
Ooh, The Art of John Byrne.
Yeah, we got to find that book. It's missing the 1980s. So it's just what he did up until that point. How cool. Neato. Friday, October 31st, 1980. It's the final Friday of one of the closest, hardest fought presidential elections in recent memory. For the Uncanny X-Men, Storm, Angel, Colossus, Wolverine, and Nightcrawler, however, it's a day like any other, which begins with a strenuous combat workout in the Danger Room of their Westchester County, New York mansion headquarters. This is where they hone their mutant abilities to a razor-keen edge under the tutelage of their mentor, Professor Charles Xavier. Sidebar here, I was talking to some other hockey parents at a hockey rink the other day, and I made a complete ass of myself, which I love doing. They were talking about places to move, and they were, places they visited they would consider living. And one of them said, yeah, we were looking at some homes in Westchester, New York. I'm like, that's where the X-Men live. And the three adults opposite me in the conversation looked at each other and said, okay, and then just moved on. They did not know what to do, and I realized I'd rather be with anyone else but these people. Graydon asks, Graydon says, Peter Pride is a better name than Kitty Rasputin, though, for sure. Peter Pride is awesome. That'd be a cool hero. And we see in this picture with Kitty from the rear view here, we don't usually see that blue highlight on John Byrne's version of her. He loves to stick to the black.
Oh, true, yeah.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I have a soft spot for like a strong blue, like the Jim Lee training suits. I like those ones. I like when they're primary colors.
Oh, same. That's what I grew up with.
Yeah. I don't mind retconning it either. Like imagining that all these characters are that blue and yellow with red straps and belts and such to bring in all three primary colors. It's no place for the uninitiated, as Kitty Pryde, the newest youngest member of the team, is a boot to discover.
Kitty, what are you doing in here?
Nightcrawler sent me to tell you that he got held up in the kitchen. But Storm, the door was unlocked. I figured that you hadn't started your training session.
And Colossus is like dealing with the same thing we see him dealing with all the time. Like the metal thing with
it's always just like something.
That's how he does his push-ups.
Yes, they're not quite spikes. And the Marvel Diamond Select action figure of Colossus in this costume comes with that piece.
Yeah, it looks like a piece of like an emo kid's belt.
Or a bracelet. Yeah. So I have that piece of plastic downstairs. I love it. And then, Wolverine getting to fight this circular saw dude. It's so much fun. Kid, that flaming stupid door is always unlocked. Also, a good John Byrne trope here. The bottom of the panel is a flat plane where all the characters are standing on it.
Is it? So it is.
Yeah, he likes to do that. At least once an issue.
Yes. Sprite, use your phasing power. Turn around and walk out through the wall. No good. She's too rattled. I better get her out of there myself. Hang loose, kid. Angel will take care of you.
So imagine for a minute, she's up against a wall. How is he going to fly?
He's just going to collide. It's like the bird into the windshield or whatever.
Exactly. It would be the funniest next panel is Angel just flying flush right into the door above her head, and then he's on the ground unconscious or dead after that.
It's not a great superpower, bird wings.
Angel, no! The computers are running this session. Wherever you go, your test threat will automatically follow.
Speaking of threats, I wish he said crepes, but
Cripes! Robot! First I take the kid, then you die. Kitty, pumpkin, hit the deck.
it is Halloween, right? Pumpkin.
Do they ever mention that it's Halloween? What an odd date to pick.
They said the 31st. They don't ever mention it as Halloween as of yet.
Oh, yeah.
But he calls her pumpkin.
Good catch. What? Why? Oh, no!
Relax, kitten. My whirlwind should pull you out of harm's way. But only for a moment. So long as Kitty remains inside the danger room and the room remains active. She is in danger, and so are we.
Storm?
Colossus, take Sprite. Everyone else, try to reach the panic button. I'm canceling this session.
Next page?
Oh, pardon me. I'm in my copy. It's the same. I can see both pages. Thank you.
This is serious. The harder we fight, the more difficult our tests become. And splitting our concentration between ourselves and Kitty will only make us more vulnerable. But protect Kitty. We must protect her. We shall. Wait, but protect Kitty. We must protect her. We shall. I cannot catch her in my armored form. The impact might injure her. I must become human and hope the danger room does not take advantage of her. No, advantage of me.
But protect Kitty, we must protect her, we shall.
There's a period there.
Oh, not for me.
Oh,
Her,
for me there
we
is.
shall.
It's but protect Kitty we
Yeah,
must.
same here.
Protect her we shall.
Oh, no period.
Oh,
couldn't
I
even
also
see that.
want to see some off-panel, or I guess off-page panels where the danger room is taking advantage of Colossus.
I've got a fan fiction in mind.
The young Russian concentrates and, with a burst of energy, his organic steel body once more becomes engorged flesh and blood. I was just joking. He's not engorged. Go on.
Am I in trouble, Peter? Am I in trouble, Peter? Am I going to get yelled at? Probably if you survive. If I survive? Peter, look! The pile driver!
He has split seconds to act. But before Colossus even begins to move, a burst of flame coupled with the stench of brimstone heralds the arrival of Nightcrawler. Who would like to read Nightcrawler?
Well, I can do it. All these bit characters that don't mean anything.
Talk about dramatic entrances. It seems I teleported here in the proverbial nick of time. You could say that, friend Kurt. Are you all right, Kitty? Uh-huh. Were you frightened? Uh-huh. I also.
Where were you, Kurt? I know it was your turn to clean the breakfast dishes, but that shouldn't have made you late for this training session.
Sorry, Oro. The morning news had an interview with Professor Xavier about today's mutant hearings in Washington. I guess I lost track of time.
So look at Wolverine's mask in this bottom panel.
Oh, it's cut
And
off.
it is because in the last page, when
Oh,
he
man,
was
yeah.
dealing with the bandsaw robot or circular saw
Wow.
robot, he got one of his mask ears sliced off. So
Oh,
good job on the continuity, John Byrne.
Yes.
That's the kind of thing that I would include and then get so annoyed when nobody noticed. And I've
Props
not
on
noticed
that.
it from like 10 times reading this.
I do
Yeah.
think though that it's the wrong angle. If you go back and look at I'll show you.
Oh,
So
yeah,
the
that's
angle
true.
is the back of it is higher than the front of it on the cut.
Mm.
And on this version, the front of it is higher than the back of it. So I think that maybe someone else did it. Maybe it was like done in with
It was
opaque,
whiteout?
yeah, some whiteout after, or maybe Terry Austin did it, or Byrne just did it wrong. Who knows? Either way,
Oh,
good fun.
I can't make 3-dimensional sense of that mask anyway.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
Wheezy or Jim Shooter.
no, you can't. Jim's reading it way later. He wasn't like on board. He's stated in interviews that he would read the series sometimes even after it's gone to print, or at least after it's in like a final production stage. He was letting the editor edit, and he's just sort of doing the overview, which is one of the reasons that they got so far into the art without killing Jean Grey, and they were drawing the next issue where she's alive in 138. They're moving forward with her not being dead. And then he's reading before things are about to go to print. He's like, "Oh no, you guys got to kill her." And they're like, "We've already drawn another issue or two where she's alive." They're like, "No, you gotta kill that character." So he's not like a very hands-on editor in chief at this moment with the minutia of the series. Anyway,
And that's frustrating to be one of the
Don't
creators.
do it again. And you, young lady, are never to come through that door when the warning light is on.
Don't be harsh, Storm. Kitty's first training session is scheduled for this morning. I'm sure her eagerness got the better of her. Not where, Kitty? Yeah, Nightcrawler, sure. And I
It
think
goes Wolverine, Nightcrawler, Storm.
is that what you think? Yeah.
Yeah, I just read ahead.
Okay, cool.
She's still antsy around you, Kurt.
Yeah, Wolverine. I've tried to break the ice between us, but nothing works. From strangers, I don't mind that reaction. From a friend, a fellow X-Men, it hurts.
Be patient, Kurt. She has so much to learn. Sprite, this is Storm. Begin whenever you wish. All you have to do is walk across the room.
Don't sweat it, Pumpkin. It won't hurt much. Or it won't hurt much.
Thanks, Wolverine. I really needed that. I know the room is set on low power. It really can't hurt, but I'm still nervous. I'm scared. But Aurora believes Aurora believes in me. They all believe in me. I can't let them down.
She's shaking as she takes her first step.
She's
her first
she's
hesitant
shaking
step.
as she takes her first.
But as she moves further into the room, and nothing nasty seems to happen to her, her confidence slowly increases.
What a great expression there in that third panel, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of highlight, right? We were mentioning that before. Like just that one spot to give that the sense that that brow is kind of twisting and being made use of to express a lot. Unsure of how to cope with all the myriad of threats thrown her way, Kitty responds instinctively by simply using her mutant ability to phase through solid objects. She doesn't have to. Nothing can touch her. Simultaneously, as she doesn't so much as walk on the floor as on the molecules of air above the floor, when trapdoors open, she doesn't fall. The danger room does its level best to stop her, but it's a wasted effort. And in the observation booth,
I thought I'd seen it all. Charlie spends weeks programming the room for Kitty, and she beats it with her eyes closed. Man, oh man, I wish Xavier were here. I'd give anything to see his reaction.
Back to the drawing board, I think. I made it. How'd I do, Storm?
You were splendid, kitten.
Gee.
Suddenly, reality twists inside out for Kitty. She comes face to face with herself, an older, sadder, wiser, stronger self. And then her soul, too, is flung out over the abyss of eternity. In her mind, she screams. In reality, she drops without a sound.
Kitty!
Kitty!
Kurt,
do that?
get down there! How is she?
Breathing. Thank heaven. Her pulse is strong and steady. There's no sign of any gross injury. She looks stunned, Aurora.
Impossible. We'd have seen the stun beam. Is that how it works? And besides, I shut down the room systems the moment she reached the door. Take her to the infirmary for an in-depth examination. Perhaps this is delayed reaction to something that happened during her test. And if it is, if my kitten is hurt, crippled, or worse, no, I dare not think of that. She's all right. She has to be.
Great delivery.
Yeah. Soon.
According to the biosensors, Kitty's fine.
Then why did she collapse? Why is she still unconscious? Oh, what was my voice for Angel? Oh, easy, Storm. Crawler said the kid's okay.
Okay, physically, Flyboy, but I'm getting some weird readings from the electroencephalogram. Oh my God, Wolverine does technology in this issue.
This is what happens when you forget to put a science guy on your team.
That's true. You gotta think Wolverine's got to be your science guy.
But I love that he's flexing a different muscle, that he's like he cares enough to not go have a beer or a smoke and wait it out. He's actually in there reading the instruments and like he's into it. He wasn't like this a year ago, you know?
I ran comparisons between these and the ones in Kitty's metafile. The basic pattern is the same, but these are more complex. Maybe Charlie or Moira McTaggart can puzzle it out. This is sure way beyond me.
I wonder if it's his military intelligence background, maybe that. Yeah.
I'm into that. I would take that angle that he's had some. I mean, he spent time in a lab, not just as a victim of experiments, but like training with James McDonald Hudson, like for Alpha Flight stuff,
In espionage.
Yeah, and you
Sitting
get
around
some
the mansion
first
all
aid
day
and
and-
science stuff, and also we should keep in mind, like he's been on the team now for 5 years, so he's not a stupid guy. Like he would have picked some things up and. Probably, whenever someone else was hurt, he'd be there. He gets hurt in other issues, and we don't ever see him healing. I know he has, of course, the healing factor, but there are times where like characters are just off panel for a little while, probably in this room, but we've never seen this room before. So I'm assuming they've all spent time there, especially with the opportunities in the danger room to take a bump.
For sure. One thing is certain, something happened to Kitty. But was it an attack? And if so, from whom? Or are we simply letting our imaginations run away with us? Who? Kurt? Aha! Our Klein Fräulein is awake? Kurt, it's you! Really you! Alive! Of course, I'm alive. What else would I be? I'm in a Medilab in the mansion in Westchester. Then I made it. Kitty, you aren't making sense. Lie down, little one. Rest now. I can't. There's no time. Angel, Aurora, Peter, this is incredible. Rachel said she could do it, but in my heart of hearts, I didn't believe she could pull it off. Who is Rachel?
Pull what off, kitten?
Kitten? It's been years since you've called me that.
Kitty, child, are you all right?
I'm fine, Aurora, but I'm not Kitty. I'm Kate. This body is inhibited by the mind, the persona, the soul of the woman I'll be in 30 years. I'm from the future.
Are you indeed? I think
I
you're
think
tired. You've had a rough morning and a hard shock.
I'm concussed and I'm hallucinating. Is that it? It's funny. I remember you telling me that the hardest part of this operation would be convincing you of the truth. The fact remains that on Halloween 1980, today,
There it is.
the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants will murder presidential candidate Robert Kelly along with Charles Xavier and Maura McTaggart. Kelly's assassination will set in motion a sequence of events that 30 years from now will culminate in the destruction of the world in a nuclear holocaust. I'm here to prevent that.
She looks like a kid, but she stands, talks, moves, smells like a woman.
Don't want to take that one out of context.
Oh,
Crazy as it sounds, Roro, my instincts say she is talking truth.
Aurora, what I say may be a fantasy, but I suppose it isn't. Can you afford to stand idly by while Senator Kelly, not to mention Charles and Maura, are murdered?
No, I can't. We'll take you to Washington, kitten. Oh, it still hurt.
Yes.
There, Professor X could telepathically mind scan you to determine your bona fides far more effectively than any of us could, and also determine the veracity of your story.
You know when you mispronounce a word for fun so much that it becomes the real way you pronounce a word? So I always love to say bona fides. I won't say bona fides. I'm with the bona fides.
Well, I said
And so-
nuclear instead of nuclear
Oh, yeah. Nuclear. It's too much
because
fun.
of George W. Bush.
Oh, I do it because of Homer.
Yeah, nuclear. It's pronounced nuclear.
I'd say...
Oh, that too, yeah.
I also, with the word possibly, I say possibly. Like, it's my... Like, to people who've never... Yeah, I should...
So it's not really the same thing, but I always say irregardless instead of regardless, again,
Sure.
because of The Simpsons. Irregardless.
That's also a really common one, right?
Yeah, I get tired of being corrected because, like, yes, I know it's not a word.
Right. Right. And so, as soon as Angel, in his alter ego as Warren Worthington III, master of one of America's larger private fortunes, whistles up his private jet, the X-Men are on their way.
Okay.
And Graydon says he wants a Wolverine talk show, talking truth with Wolverine. Because the way he said it back, he had the way he expressed that. He says, crazy as it sounds, Roro, my instincts say she is talking truth.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a way, I have not heard that expression before, other than here. Nightcrawler's up.
That would be a great Canadian talk show host. Followed by the Puck Stops Here with Puck.
Right. Talking truth with Colonel Logan and two beavers. And the Puck Stops Here.
Oh, wait, that's me. Oh, I thought that was Storm. You say Kelly's death initiates a sequence of events, Kitty. What events? Kelly is a decent man with what he feels are legitimate concerns about the increasing numbers of superpowered mutants in the world. Brotherhood killed them to teach humanity to fear and respect the power of Homo Superior. Their plan backfired. Mutants became objects of fear and hatred. We thought the mood of hysterical paranoia would pass. It didn't. And in 1984, a rabid anti. Sorry.
Of course, 1984.
Of
Perfect.
course. A rabid anti-mutant candidate was elected president. Within a year, the first Mutant Control Act was passed. The Supreme Court, bless him, struck 11? Wait,
No, it struck it.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Struck
It's
it
okay.
down as, because I thought it was like a Strucker reference. Struck it down.
Yeah, it
as,
looks like two ones to me too.
yeah, struck it down as unconstitutional.
I love it.
Then
America, it's 1984. Do you know what your children are? So
And that becomes the advertising launch slogan for the New Mutants book.
right.
Oh.
That's a good point. And
Yes.
I feel like it was for was it Fall of the Mutants when they had Power Pack? They had Franklin Richards as a kid. I think it was even John Bogdanov did the artwork for the ad, and it was like when there was a whole like Mutant Massacre.
Yes, yeah, with
It was like the ads for Mutant
yeah.
Massacre. But just for anyone who doesn't know out there in the universe, with the television ad or the television slogan, there used to be a thing with the news, and it would say like it's 11 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? This was like an American news slogan as a way to sort of start the nightly news. And so for them to say it's 1984, do you know what your children are, is like a reaction or a comment on that sort of in a fun way. Just a quick cartooning thing from you guys. Do you like the floating head as narrator indicator, or is it not something to your taste?
It's not to my taste. It's
I do it as a
mostly
callback.
like
Sorry, Jason, what did you say?
Oh, I do it as a callback. I've done it a number of times with my multiple man stories,
Right.
for X-Men Unlimited. But it's just to pay homage.
Right.
You'd have, for me to be in my taste, you'd have to handle it differently. Like it's too it's like an afterthought here or something, and it doesn't really add anything. It's just kind of like he wanted to draw her face. I don't know. It's
Sure.
like
As a transition from one panel into the
yeah. But
into-
compositionally, like this does not work for me whatsoever.
No.
But you can do it in ways that does.
I love it as an idea for an all ages style comic. And I have an upcoming issue where I have some exposition to deal with over flashback, and I'm absolutely going to be doing this. But that's also part of the style of what Chris and I are doing, has those homages to reading comics as a kid. So it fits in that. But I was thinking maybe having it in a circle, like having the head in a circle that's attached to the narration box. But I got to figure out how to compose it well. I like it as an idea.
I'll also just toss in that the place that I know it's 11 o'clock. Do you know where your children are from? Is again The Simpsons with it's 11 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? I told you last night. No.
Do you guys think this this terrible presidential candidate, the rabbit anti-mutant candidate, was elected? Is that guy supposed to be Stan Lee?
It certainly looks like him.
Well,
It
yeah.
certainly looks like
A
him.
bit on the nose there.
Or I wonder if he is supposed to look like a particular candidate of that time period. I wonder if they've made him Stan Lee. Anyway,
I mean, he has a mustache. You don't see presidential candidates with mustaches very
Not
often.
during
that's
that
a good
time.
point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. All right, so I think it's still Katie reading, huh? In the next panel with the Sentinels.
Yeah. The administration responded by reactivating the Sentinels. The robots were given an open-ended program with fatally broad parameters to eliminate the mutant menace once and for all. The Sentinels concluded that the best way to do that would be to take over the country. In the process, they destroyed not only mutants, but non-mutant super beings, both heroes and villains, by the turn of the century. The North American continent was under the complete control. North American continent was under their complete control. We fought, we lost. we died, and now seeing you all alive, oh God, I didn't think it would hurt so much.
For a while, there are no sounds in the jet's cabin, save this child, woman's anguished sobs. Then, her voice low and choked, Kate forces herself to finish her story.
The rest of the world became more of the Sentinels than of mutant kind. They threatened war if the Sentinels moved against them. The Sentinels, driven by their prime directive, are about to make that move. One of the surviving X-Men is a telepath. She devised a plan to psychically exchange the mind of one of us in the future with our counterpart in the past. I was chosen because it was time as Kitty. I was chosen because at this time as Kitty, I hadn't yet been trained to defend myself against a psychic attack. Wolverine would have freed the others by now. Wherever now is. I wonder where they are. No, sorry. I wonder how they're doing.
So I like that the idea is like she hasn't been trained for the psychic attack part, so she's vulnerable or susceptible to like psychic transfer. I think it's kind of a neat. That's one of those Deus Ex Machina things like you could write in that I have no issue with. I don't mind it at all. That's why they choose her as the character. It seems to work for me. And this also answers our question about Steve Rogers and Tony Stark. Like they're in that picture of superheroes that are dead, along with some odd ones like Doctor Doom.
And Ghost Rider stuck in there as an afterthought.
Yeah, Ghost Rider's hilarious. That it's a skull and it's also dead now. And then Black Panther, like shit.
Yeah.
That doesn't that reads so differently, after the movies and after Chadwick and everything. It's like the idea of him being dead it bugs me a lot, but really neat to see that at least that Doom was involved in this in some way. Very cool.
Try to help them out.
Yeah.
Maybe.
2013, New York. Oh, you have to say this, Jason. Pardon me. After all of your Twitter posts, your tweets, or whatever, wherever you were first, you get to read this caption, please.
2013 in New York City.
So what is that from? Is that just you being you, or is that from something?
That's from What We Do in the Shadows, Matt Berry's character. Whenever he says New York City, but it's a recurring thing.
That's what I thought it was.
And I think in the new season, he says that a lot.
So I had to look it up. I tried looking up and spelling it different ways to see what I could get just on Google. And then I went up asking Chris on the weekend, and he didn't know either, but we thought maybe it was Matt Berry. That was our guess. So thank you for confirming that. I can sleep easier now. Here we go.
Came through.
It did. And I enjoyed that it was relentless. Like you were just not going to stop doing that joke, which I think is great. It's one of my favorite ways of making funny is just through doing it until it drives everyone insane and it becomes funny again. Wolverine says, this old subway tunnel's
working.
Make a
TikTok compilation out of it.
Yes. That's my new ringtone. This old subway tunnel's working like a charm. It'll take us into the heart of Manhattan. How's Kate?
Unconscious. I hope she remains so. The less Kitty knows of what has happened to her, but what may happen to her, the better. I wish we could have brought Magneto.
So this is the first time he's ever referred to as Magnus.
Ever?
There you go. That's a little bit of trivia for you.
Huh?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of revelations here.
Yes.
He knew what he was doing when he volunteered to cover our escape. His wheelchair would have slowed us down. Would have slowed us up too much. That's not nice. This sewer's not wheelchair accessible.
That's terrible.
Also, don't they have their powers right now? Like, couldn't he fly?
or hover the chair.
Yeah.
Oh, this is Colossus, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. A noble death is still a death, Logan. And I'm so sick of death. I mean,
And this, I think, is Franklin, correct?
Yep.
Above us, that sound! Sentinels! And he's dead.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Franklin!
All units alert. Patrol 3L40 has contacted mutant escapees from South Bronx internment facility. Mutants, you are advised to surrender or face immediate termination. This is your only warning.
Franklin, oh, Storm, help me. When he died, I felt it in my mind.
I know, Rachel, but you mustn't yield to your pain, your grief. We need you.
So cool that we are introduced to adult Franklin, who's like been in the comics since near the end of the 60s when Sue gives birth to the character. And he's such a powerful mutant, though, in the way that he's been written in the last 30 years. Like, to think of him just getting wiped off the face of the earth, first one to go in their little cadre of characters. It's different than the versions I'm used to, but it's really cool.
What was the printing term that you mentioned earlier that you didn't know the definition of?
Surprint.
Surprint. Now, I'm not sure if this is it, but the difference between what we're seeing on the screen and what's on my page is surprint this process of, like, you see the black of the Sentinel where he has light coming out of his chest?
Yes.
They've printed yellow over the black.
Okay.
And in the modern printings in the Omnibus and on Marvel Unlimited, that doesn't happen. So it doesn't, like, the effect is like gone. Basically, it doesn't, like, this always looks better in the original, but this panel is like, it's a gorgeous work of art in the original, and it's just some comic stuff in the modern print. And is that surprinting, the printing of a color plate on top of the black plate?
That's a great question. I always thought they were.
I think that's what it was.
I always thought they were always like printed on top. I have no idea. I've very often I can see color plates on top of the black ink, depending on how tidily the person doing the cutouts wants to make it.
Yeah, but here it's a very intentional effect on that Sentinel.
Oh, that's interesting. No, I'm not sure. I have to look it up to see if that's what you mean, or if that's what the technique is called. You guys, you can see just in the way that the light coming off of the Sentinel's chest, it's that technique of taking the razor blade across the ink, the dried ink, to create those jaggedy scratches. It works really well
cool.
here. Yeah.
The original version, the original newsprint version, is so gorgeous.
It really is. The
green and the yellow in the foreground, the colors are way too close in my omnibus version, but just gorgeous. Love it.
Agreed. Mm-hmm. I think it's fantastic. That goofy Dr. Doom.
Oh, he's just smiling through the mask. Good Lord.
I won't break, Storm. Both bloody robots killed my man. The least I can do in return is kill them. And then that psychic effect, like her, that's a Jean Grey. We've seen that used with her too.
Warning! This unit under telekinetic attack. Squawk! Central Control, all city alert. Mutant contacts not wearing inhibitor collars. Patrol 3L40 requesting immediate reinforcement. Identification. This unit facing the X-Men. Storm. The force of my lightning bolts is staggering the Sentinel. Sentinel spelled wrong. But I'm not doing him any real damage. He's too well insulated.
Rachel, God, Kate, with your life. Hola, Wolverine. Hola?
Yeah.
I guess.
Okay. Hola, Wolverine. It's been a long while since we've practiced a fastball special, has it not?
Too long, pal.
Too long, pal. As Nightcrawler used to say, up, up, and away.
Yeah, it's
Put a
Nightcrawler.
up there,
Is Nightcrawler the one who said that?
I guess.
This is old
Up,
famous
Up, and
catchphrase.
away.
Muscles clench, synapses close, and gleaming adamantium claws pop out of the backs of Wolverine's hands. These retractable claws are forged of the strongest metal known, one far stronger than the Sentinel's omnium steel bones. Sentinel spelled wrong again.
Wow.
Likewise, his entire skeleton is laced with that same miracle metal, making his bones virtually unbreakable. Add to that a berserker fury that gives him the fighting prowess of a score of heroes.
Squawk!
It's no wonder that even these emotionless robots respect and almost fear him.
This unit critically damaged, but still functional. Mutant assailant identified as Wolverine has been captured. Termination imminent.
Storm, I've given you an opening. Finish this fucker.
As good as done,
Oh,
Wolverine. This lightning bolt should reduce the Sentinel's computer, finally spelled right, Sentinel's computer brain to so much slag.
Way to go, darling. Colossus and Rachel zapped the last one.
3 down. How many million to go? Company is coming, my friends. Another Triad patrol. The longer we stay in one place, the more vulnerable we become. No matter how hard or well we fight, the Sentinels can overwhelm us through sheer weight of numbers. I don't know what accent you in. Our only hope is to hit and run and never let ourselves be backed into a corner. I'm all over the place. Oh,
It's me. Alert! Contact established with Mutant X-Men Colossus.
if I hit the base of this derelict hotel precisely right, I think I can give our would-be pursuers a headache they'll never forget.
The robot's screams are frighteningly human,
Squawk!
but Colossus does not care. He was the gentlest of souls until the Sentinels slew his friends and his children, and thereby taught him how to hate.
We must push on. The Baxter Building is the Sentinel's continental nerve center. Destroy it, and we can cripple them.
Oh, did we lose Jason?
Oh, I
he's
wish
there.
Kate luck wherever she is. I do not know where. I do not know who will need it more, or her or us.
October 31st, 1980, Washington, D.C. This is the Pentagon, the largest building of its type in the world. Command headquarters of the mightiest military machine that the world has ever known. Maybe you shouldn't brag about that. To many people, it is more truly representative, for good or ill, of the reality of America than the White House or Congress just across the Potomac River. Deep within this man-made labyrinth, we find a young woman named Raven Darkholme.
I'll do Mystique. Colonel, I'll expect the latest stealth test on my results on my desk Monday morning.
You'll have 'em, ma'am. She works out of the office of the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Research and Development, and as such, has access to the most secret and sophisticated weaponry in America's arsenal. She's earned her position and the complete trust of her superiors. Unfortunately, that loyalty is as much an illusion as her appearance, for Raven Darkholme is a metamorph, a shapeshifter, a mutant, better known to her comrades as Mystique. Founder and leader of the new Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Avalanche, whose touch crumbles any solid object, creating an irresistible avalanche tidal wave effect with earth, stone, steel, anything. Destiny, a blind precog with the psychic ability to see the future. The only member of the Brotherhood Raven calls friend. Pyro, who controls living flame. And last but not least, the Blob, only recently escaped from prison, a man whom no physical force can harm.
Good morning, all. I trust these accommodations meet with your approval. No complaints? How nice. Destiny, what does the future hold?
It's hard to be certain, Raven. I sense a variable, a new random element that could seriously affect our plan. I've been unable to focus on it. Also, the Blob is uncomfortable with your leadership. There is a potential for trouble.
Blob?
Hey, Ray, you helped me bust out a joint. You got me threads, bread, a classy pad. For that, I'm grateful. Well, la-dee-da, Chunky. You think you can do better? I just don't take orders from abroad. Blow it out from your Union Jack, Limey. This is between me and yow! Watch your mouth and remember your place, or next time you light a match, I'll create a demon that will perbroil instead of scare you. Oh, sorry. I've taken all the lip from you. I've taken all the lip from you. Englishman. Fred J. Dukes ain't no 2-bit amateur. And I was part of the original Brotherhood. I worked for Magneto.
If that was such an honor, Blob, how come you spent few years in prison?
That sculpture, Avalanche, you disintegrated it.
A minor demonstration of my power.
Well, I don't need no hunk of rock to pulverize this punk.
That's enough. All of you. You're correct, Blob. I'm not Magneto. But cross me in any way, and you'll find I can be as implacable?
Yes, implacable.
As implacable and deadly a foe as the master of magnetism ever was. Now, prepare yourselves, mutants. The time has come to strike.
The United States Senate has been... Oh, pardon me. Why did you guys tell me I didn't move the page?
Oh, I haven't looked up in a while.
Neither have I. Sorry, everybody.
Sorry.
Is this Mystique's first appearance?
No, her first appearance is in Miss Marvel number 17?
Nice.
Yeah.
And then what about Pyro?
Yes, this is Pyro, Destiny, and Avalanche's first appearance.
She was
Very
in
cool.
Miss Marvel for like... Yes.
And was she
Mystique was
always...
in...
Okay, so is it the era of Miss Marvel that Claremont is writing?
Yes,
Yeah.
It's like one of those many crossover things.
Right. Yeah, he loves to bring in stuff from, Heroes for Hire or,
whatever other book he's on will suddenly develop. It happens with Spider-Woman too, a little bit down the line. Like,
right.
For like a hot minute, she's friends with the X-Men because he's writing Spider-Woman.
Right. That makes sense in that issue of Avengers Annual 10, where the whole thing where Rogue's first appearance.
Yes.
And so there's the Miss Marvel thing, and Jessica Drew is at the mansion when the Avengers don't they come to talk to her at the end? Or they're all around the pool.
Yes.
Anyway, but she's there. I remember she was hanging out with Storm and everybody else. Okay. The United States Senate has been described as the greatest deliberative body on earth. Oh my goodness. It has seen noble times and shameful ones. I wonder. It has epitomized the highest ideals of humanity and the worst realities. Today, that's incredible, by the way. Today, once again, it and the people it represents are being put to the test.
We are gathered here to address an issue of critical national and international importance. This is not a witch hunt, but we hope and pray a search for truth. Much about our world has changed in recent years. We face situations and threats undreamed of by earlier generations. One such is the appearance of Homo superior, mutants, flesh of our flesh and blood of our blood, yet possessing powers and abilities which set them apart. Some would say above the rest of humanity.
Kelly's laying it on a bit thick. What else is new?
Among our witnesses are Professor Charles Xavier, world-renowned expert on genetics, and Dr. Moira McTaggart of Edinburgh University, whose work in the field has won her a Nobel Prize.
If you ask me, Charles, that sod's already made up his mind. Registration of mutants today, gas chambers tomorrow.
Be charitable, Moira. He's scared. We must teach him that his fear is unfounded. Coming through the door, Peter Aurora and Kitty. I best contact them telepathically. Storm, what are you doing here? Is something wrong? You might say that, Professor. Open your mind to me, child, and your memories will explain matters far more effectively than your words.
Overcoming an instinctive flash of reluctance and distaste, Storm does as she's told. Bum, bum, bum.
Oh, this hearing's getting interesting. That's Warren Worthington. He's a mutie. His handle's the Angel. He used to bankroll a West Coast superhero group called the Champions.
Tell Lois to try for an interview. That's funny.
Lois.
Yeah. Senator, in all honesty, I fail to see the need for this hearing or your concern.
The need is simple, Dr. McTaggart. I merely wonder if, in a world of beings like Dr. Doom, Magneto, and the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, and Lord knows how many others, there's any place for ordinary men and women. I wonder, as well, Doctor, if this same question wasn't asked by the last Neanderthal about the first Cro-Magnon.
Eh? Holy! Get out of here! You people, run for it!
That wall's coming down!
And when the avalanche has run its course.
An apt question, Senator Kelly, and one with its own answer. For we all know what that first Cro-Magnon did to the last Neanderthal. I am Mystique. My colleagues and I comprise the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. We are your future, humans. Resist us at your peril.
You've been babbling a lot about the mutant menace, Kelly. We're here to teach you the error of your ways. Shoot a lightning bolt. No, shoot a lightning bolt. Who did that? I thought that was Blob that was doing that.
Shoot a lightning bolt. It's like his fighting game cry when you spam that move. Shoot a lightning bolt. Shoot a lightning bolt.
Some LARPing. We did, Comrade Blob. We are the X-Men. Oh, yeah? Except for that winged bozo, you sure ain't no X-Men I ever met.
That's right, Fatso. We're better.
If you mean to harm Senator Kelly, Mystique, or anyone here, you'll have to go through us to get him. That, Storm, will be a pleasure. Kill them!
Next issue, Time Out of Mind, but nobody cares about that title. They just want Days of Future Past Part 2. And we get, speaking of Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew. She's the world's most misunderstood superheroine. Don't ask me why. I don't even know.
It's like,
And
we
like
don't
you
know
said,
what we're doing here.
right,
The
written
title's
by
been
Claremont.
editorially mandated.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wild. There you go, gentlemen. That brings us to the end of that issue, and which there was a lot of reading in that one.
Yes, but what a great issue! I
Yeah,
would say
so
it
much
is
happened.
the best
Yeah.
issue of the run so far.
You think so?
That's what I would say.
I think it's the most impressive one for sure. In that there's just there's concepts, right? There's like you're getting hit with ideas, like it's heavy. It's really playing. Like there's always the talk about mutants, that are hunted and feared and all that stuff. But this one is like, but hey, here's the reality of it. Like there's genocide happening. This character that you're now feeling empathy for has experienced genocide, and now she's part of the team. Like this is very real for this character all of a sudden. Yeah. Graydon doesn't like that Jessica Drew ad, the Spider-Woman ad, because there's no background there. Yeah.
Just try any background.
Any background. But design-wise, there were those bubbles or go-go bubbles or whatever they're going to be called. So it does the job, Graydon. But you're right. It does look like it was done pretty quickly. But man, that's the world of comics sometimes, buddy. You got to do things kind of fast.
I wonder if they used protractors back in the day to make those circles. Remember those?
No, they just coffee mugs.
Oh yeah, they did. Yeah, I've seen even the ink protractors that the inkers used to use, or compasses.
Yes,
compasses. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yes, I'm telling you,
yes.
The coffee mug is the best. Jason, are you a big fan of this issue? Like now that you've read it, and it was you.
I
you've
am,
kind of
yeah.
expressed that
I
you can
mean,
read it as a kid.
No, this is the first time reading it now, so
Pretty crazy.
getting to see the comparisons. Like I love the. I mean, yeah, the whole meditative state where she's lying on just a used mattress, and they kept that consistent with the movie, and it just shows like the desperate setting they're from, and man, this is so good.
This is one of the things that also made me really love, Kitty Pryde as a lifelong reader, was that I knew she was a great character, like a hero as a grown up. She's not. It's like when you first meet Ahsoka Tano, she's whiny and she's a bit of a brat kid,
Yeah,
but she goes on the arc. And so if you got to there's hope that she's not going to be this bratty kid by seeing her married to Colossus and having lived a life and still choosing to life, and she's a survivor. And she's a hero in the future. It's like I'm willing to invest in this character more, knowing that she's not just going to be this annoying 13-year-old that's going to eventually leave the team to go find herself and backpack through Europe. Like this is a lifer, and it makes her extra special to me to have her have this kind of this issue. Yeah,
and
she's very cool.
This was her 16th issue from her debut, right? She debuted back in 125
or 129, right around 129, 130
okay.
Yeah.
When she starts.
That.
But she's not in every issue, right? They meet her, they have the 3-parter with the White Queen, and then she goes back home, and then she joins the team at the end of issue 138. So it's the fallout of the death of Phoenix. It's the whole recap issue where Scott is internalizing his entire journey. And then he leaves the team on the second last page, and then the last page, and she pulls up in the cab. So she was gone for, about 10 issues there. So now that we've talked about the Sentinels as being, how did you refer to them? Like objects of genocide?
Yeah, they're it's like an A-bomb that's designed to kill just a specific subset of humanity. Like
I don't want this toy anymore.
I mean,
they're also very cool looking. It's like an A-bomb in a
forever.
pack.
I don't know.
I don't want to shine the light on the screen, but can you see that? You won't be able to see it. His eyes glow.
Oh,
wicked!
Yeah, he's got that
cool.
piece in the back, like dark side. in the old
So there's like a little
Superpowers.
opening in the back of his head.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Oh, the same as like Scarecrow in Batman the Animated Series, the first wave of toys. If you ever got like season 1 of those, or the series 1 of those figures way back in the day in the early 90s.
For
Some
me,
of
it's
the Thundercats toys had that. No.
For me, it's
What was that?
Metalhead from the Ninja Turtles. The robot Ninja Turtle had it.
Yeah.
Very cool. It works well with this guy. He's got also his head comes off real easy, and he has flashed up on. So I was chatting with one of the marketing guys over at Hasbro, who knows I love the retro figures, the little ones, and he's like I said, how many do I need to get? You know, and he says, oh, you need enough that you can display with the battle damage and all the various paraphernalia. So he's gonna be fun to, you know. Oh, I have one on order anyway. But this is how they scale. You can blast. Kind of cool. This is how they scale next to X-Men, which is definitely modest compared to modern Marvel Legends standards. But this is about how big they were in these old issues. They're not massive. Like when Dave Cockrum drew them, they were all sorts of different sizes too. They really varied. Like panel to panel, they varied. Yeah.
Wow, that's Dave Cockrum.
Well, they're cute. I like these ones, and they also this thing to grapple with, I guess. The only thing I need now for this to feel more complete for me is Colossus. They haven't made him yet in this line of figures.
Oh, they're holding out. They want you to invest on the next wave of
yeah. They give us like one X-Men every couple waves. So we've got Wolverine. We don't have Nightcrawler yet either, but we've got Wolverine, we've got Cyclops and Storm.
Well, they're probably like lamenting what they did in the main Marvel Legends line, where they kind of like put out all the main X-Men right in a row in the span of like 2 years, and then they're just like,
There's always another costume. There's always a different version, and there's always an improvement away from.
Yeah, but normally the way they do things, it tricks you to keep getting the different costumes, because they start off with like some 70s thing that nobody remembers, and you get that because it's the only one, and then eventually but like most people are like the 70s costumes or the 90s costumes, and those are all done on both
except
fronts.
For Banshee.
Well, 90s Banshee is coming next year.
I can't wait.
I'm very angry that they're making me buy a Storm and something else in the
Was it Wolverine?
No, he's single, but there's going to be 2-3 packs coming out. One with Banshee, Storm, and let's say Psylocke. I don't know, all in blue and yellow, and another one with Gambit, Jubilee, and somebody else, all in blue and yellow. And I don't want those, but that's how they're smart, because I just want the blue and yellow Banshee, but I'm going to end up with Storm and Psylocke. So then it's like, why not get the Wolverine, Gambit, Jubilee, and the one that I'm forgetting? Who am I forgetting?
I don't know.
Whatever.
Forge. There it is. Forge.
It is Forged, and that's even more annoying because that Forge already exists.
Yeah.
Is he going to be on the Vulcan body?
Maybe he'll be on a new body mold, I guess.
Body, that's something. But this is the one you were telling me earlier that you wanted. This Cyclops.
Yeah, if I had him, I would have put together a 70s X-Men as well as the regular, but I don't. So whatever.
I'm telling you, they'll give this guy on the retro card next year. I mean, come on, they can't hold it. I mean, everyone wants this figure again, right? So it is great, and I do love him.
What if you do the white X, the X Factor Cyclops on the vintage card?
Oh, they have. I have him.
Oh wait, oh damn.
Yeah, you can't see him. He's like way off.
Yeah, he's good, and he comes with nice like laser beams. I know it's not laser.
You'll never be able to see him, but he's like right here, that little speck of white at the top of my finger. That's
all right. I believe you. I see that boy.
Yeah.
Here, let's make it a solo view.
Oh, I see it. Yep.
The thing is, this is so hard.
Is the thing right behind him?
Yeah, the thing is right behind him, and then Legion is right there.
Yeah.
And then that's Link from Zelda.
The one that I also want is just because of the lameness of my childhood reading is I want the yellow X one.
I
Like, to me,
hate
it's
that
like,
costume.
yeah, I know it's terrible.
It's so bad. I really hate it.
Yeah, I hate it too. But
It's so weird. Like, what is the it's just a color balance thing or something. Like, why doesn't it not work to me when the white one is one of my favorites? But,
yeah, there's no explanation for that. They're basically the exact same thing, except for there's hand gauntlet. Like, there's a cuffed glove and a cuffed boot on the white.
yes,
Yellow, it's just
yeah,
body.
he's got like the Captain America boots.
Yeah. There you go, man. Gentlemen, is almost 2 hours. It was a dense
special
issue.
event.
It was a dense issue. Yeah,
Yeah.
It was a very dense issue. I don't know if you're free again next week to finish what you started, but if you
I will
can,
be. Yes, I know.
I'll check my schedule. Hopefully,
come back next week, finish what you started. Let's get Sanigan back in here, and finally, get him on the same show at least as David. This needs to happen.
Yeah, I'm definitely free next Tuesday. 100%.
Oh, awesome! I'm really glad that you guys joined me for this. It's so much fun to hang out with you and talk X-Men and catch up, because these comics are really all about having some fun, and you're great guys to have fun with. So more X-Men for all of us.
Yeah.
Any final words? Where can people find you on social media?
Jason?
Yeah, you can find me on TikTok and Instagram. Jason Lowe Makes Comics and Rebel_LOO on Twitter. I just want to promote my ex-friend's story arc that's happening at Marvel Unlimited that I wrote and drew, and it's featuring Multiple Man and Strong Guy, and the Starjammers are in it. It's very zany, it's crazy, and I can't believe they let me get away with it.
And you have custom action figures from your two leads.
Yeah.
That was really cool to see.
I did it way in advance too, like months while I was working on the comic, and it was like, wow, like I got to like redesign Multiple Man, and it happened.
Very cool. It's awesome. What about you, David? Where can we find you?
I'm David J. Cutler on Twitter, Instagram, and even still Tumblr. And davidjcutlerart.com is my website. And I don't have anything, like I don't know when my next Marvel Unlimited thing is coming out. So I can't direct you to that, or even if it's been announced. And right now I'm doing filling pages on Ghost Rider, so I don't even know if my name is going to get on the cover of that one, because it's just like 5 pages out of 20, but we'll see.
That's awesome.
That's so cool. Which Ghost Rider? Robbie Reyes?
I don't get to draw him in even one panel, so I just draw a bunch of demons. Yeah.
I remember Kalman Androsovsky telling me about getting a chance to draw some Wolverine, and he said it was just like the costume he didn't want to draw, the version he didn't want to do. It's like sometimes you get these assignments that it's not the fantasy that one would think it ought to be. So it's part of the job, right?
Well, it's still really cool to draw a bunch of demons.
Totally.
Halloween time.
Yeah.
Totally. Very
When's that
cool.
coming out?
It's issue 10, so I'm not sure. I believe the most recent issue out is 7, 8.
Okay.
So a few months.
Very cool. Very cool.
Nice. Can't wait to check it out.
Of course, anyone can find Group of 7 Comics at Group of 7 Comics with the number 7, or www.groupofsevencomics.ca with, again, the number 7. And that brings us to the end of episode 50. Previously in X-Men. Wow. I can't believe we got through. Guys, thank you again for everything. Really fun night. I'm going to end
so much fun.
Now. So everyone, take care. Have a great night. And more X-Men for everybody, please.